What's up, everybody, and welcome to ITG Daily, the show that brings you the hottest in gaming news. I'm Drew Bosley. You can find me on Twitter at ArtisticGamer28, and that's the one, the only, is Scott Savage. You can find him on Twitter at Savage. Scotty, what's happening, man? Happy Friday.
Today I think I want to get into some of the new Vanguard zombies. I haven't played very much, but that's something I've been thinking about recently with the myriad of releases.
Dude, there's so many releases. It must be the holidays. That's how many things are going on, dude. There's so much to talk about, but you can always join us as we talk over at twitch.tv/theofficialITG, as well as YouTube at Inside the Game Official. But if you can't join us live, hit us up later. InsideTheGame.ca, podcast services, and TV streaming networks around the globe. Scott, coming up on today's show, you ready for this? EA wants to build a connected universe with Battlefield. Oh, man. We got a lot to talk about that one, dude. The Witcher 3 Wild Hunt is getting DLC, and the beloved co-op game It Takes Two is hit with acclaim from Take-Two. Oh, no. That is not a good thing, dude. But let's get going, because EA wants to build a connected Battlefield universe. Really, more experiences on the way. EA is looking to significantly expand the Battlefield franchise. This comes from Chris over at GameSpot. As part of a major studio shakeup, EA announced EA has signaled an intent to create a connected Battlefield universe. The recently launched Battlefield 2042 isn't going anywhere, but the publisher plans to expand on the franchise in a big way. Much as Activision has complemented its annual Call of Duty releases with Call of Duty Mobile and Warzone, it sounds as if EA wants to increase Battlefield's prominence, and that could include new games from studios including Ripple Effect. Speaking with GameSpot, Vincent Pella, the Respawn co-founder, who is now also overseeing the Battlefield franchise, explained that the intent here is not to replace Battlefield 2042, but to create a connected Battlefield universe. This isn't okay. Where do you stand? I'm going to stop right there. There's more on the article. We'll continue that in a second. Scott, how do you feel about this?
It sounds pretty ambitious for a company that did not land. It didn't stick the landing on launch.
Dude,
and
it didn't even land on one foot. Never mind two.
No, it was a full faceplant, in my opinion. But
unfortunately, right?
To take on some other projects and of course, a lot of this has to do with marketing. But
yes,
even just to say that, well, don't worry, we have more product coming down the line. Well, that's not very comforting at all.
No.
If this is kind of the quality to be expected. And it's not. I think Battlefield 2042 is unfortunately just a drop-off for the series. But I don't know if I want to see more surrounding things. Unless they're going to bring back Ring of Fire. That's the only thing I could think of that would be
you really miss it, eh?
Kind of shoe in. Well, it had its own flavor.
Oh, that's fair. He says this is an and strategy in many ways. He said, we will continue to evolve and grow Battlefield 2042, and we'll explore new kinds of experiences and business models along the way that we can add to the foundation to provide an awesome array of experiences for our players. In this universe, the world is interconnected with shared characters and narrative. This universe is also built with our community as we harness the power of Portal and user-generated content that puts creativity in the hands of our players. Scott, how are you going to have connected characters when you don't even have a story in Battlefield 2042?
That's exactly what I was thinking about. Well, right? It makes sense in some of the other games. Like I can put 3 and 4 together. Okay. Battlefield 1 stands on its own, but
Bad Company.
They don't. Well, yeah, Bad Company 1 and 2. That's right. A good point. Those have kind of its own divergent universe, but well, it kind of sounds like they're pumping more interest into Portal, which is fair. There's totally a lot of possibility there, but again, it's like adding icing to something that doesn't need icing. It's like
it needs
I don't know if this is a response that anybody wanted. I want the team that worked on well, I don't know, a lot of these recovered companies that have a botched launch and then figure it out within a year. I want Sean Murphy and the team on this one.
Well,
because they did a great job saving that process.
That's a fantastic point, right? So can they bring Battlefield around? But here's the thing, Scott. why are we having to deal with this in the first place? Why can't we just have a solid game at launch? Don't fill us with empty promises and then come up bare bones. If you have everything in line, the testing takes longer. Something's come up. There's more bugs. Hey, we have to delay the game because we're going to get an empty launch. And then no one sticks around. We just covered the other day the fact that Battlefield on Steam alone went from 100,000 to 50,000 players. They lost half their player base in a matter of 10 days. Right? So like there's a lot going on here that
I don't think any of that is adding to their marketing plan either. Like that's not benefiting them, and to rush this release in advance of a holiday season or something, like sure, it makes sense on paper, but if this is the disaster that is what everybody knows, well, I don't think that was the right maneuver. You could have launched it in February and it would have done better.
Exactly. It also says here there's at least one other possible game in the works from Ripple Effect, formerly Dice LA, the new Seattle-based studio founded by Marcus Leto, best known for his prominent role in the Halo series. Meanwhile, is working on world building and narrative within the Battlefield franchise. That seems like a weird statement coming in with, again, Battlefield 2042 had no narrative. Right? That's like, it just seems so weird. Is this just you have the core Battlefield franchise, and then you have like it's kind of like Batman Arkham Origins, Batman Arkham, right? That whole Asylum franchise, Arkham Knight, Arkham City, and then you have Origins, kind of this like side project in a sense. Now, granted, I'm not saying anything bad about Origins, because I know a lot of people love that game. I hear it's a fantastic game. One I never went into because I followed the whole Arkham series, right? And also we get into Batman Origins, and it's something different from a whole other studio. It kind of feels like Battlefield 2042, Scott, is that approach.
Yeah, well, they got to do something. The lack of a single player really hurts this, and it just kind of makes it all. I'm not sure what they're building towards. They're just trying to save their online thing. But hey, look, we have a narrative that we're going to kind of stitch into this. That addresses some of the criticism, but really not very much, in my opinion.
No. Quote, it says here, got a quote, Scott, "We intend to build a Battlefield universe, one with multiple projects that are interconnected with the players at the center." End quote, Zampella said. Quote, "We plan to grow Battlefield to meet players where they play through various experiences and business models, including our upcoming Battlefield mobile game coming in 2022 and industrial toys as well." So there's, I don't know. We'll see where we lie and land on our feet in the near future with Battlefield. But as of right now, I talked about it the other day. I deleted it. I'm one of the few that dropped off, right? And I didn't want to drop off because I love Hazard Zone. I think that is a fantastic game mode. It's very exciting, and I think it's somewhat fresh too. So I like
maybe that's something they can put some of the narrative into, but then I worry that's going to be narrative just surrounding these characters that they've inserted, and nobody needed those characters. It's it's such a Warzone kind of idea. But
what we do need, apparently, though, is The Witcher 3 as they get more DLC. This comes from Tyler Fisher over at Comic Book. The Witcher 3 Wild Hunt is getting new DLC soon. Before it was delayed, the next-gen version of The Witcher 3 was scheduled to release this year via the PS5 and the Xbox Series S and, of course, the X. When the next-generation version of the game was delayed, it was simply delayed to 2022, which is a large release window. Recently, this release window was narrowed down. According to CG Projekt Red, the next-gen version of the award-winning and best-selling RPG is releasing sometime in Q2 of 2022, which to say sometime between the 1st of April and the final day of June. In other words, Witcher fans are getting the next-gen versions of the game and the new DLC it comes with sometime in the next 7 months. For those out of the loop, this DLC isn't going to be on the level of the game's 2 expansions, Hearts of Stone and Blood of Wine, which, when combined, added nearly 100 hours of new content.
Yeah, those were massive expansions. You can't expect that every time.
Man, because the game itself wasn't long enough. Rather, the new DLC, which is said to be described by the Netflix show, will almost certainly be considerably less substantial. The tease suggests the DLC will be no more than cosmetic content, which I guess is okay. Scott, how do you feel about this?
Does that mean I can look like Henry Cavill as I
Maybe.
play? Because he did it great.
I think so.
I can't think of another actor that would have done a good of a job. But
Yeah.
no, that was an interesting one. I watched the first season of The Witcher on
Just
Netflix,
so
but
good.
I haven't seen the next one. I've only heard a huge amount of hype. So, I hope this DLC will have a lot of good content to bring for the fans that have jumped on because of the show.
Absolutely. Yo, shout out to the food over in our YouTube chat. What's happening, buddy? It's been a long time. Good to see you back. It's dude, I'm anxious to see The Witcher 2 season on Netflix. And then so in the next 7 months we're gonna get the latest version of The Witcher 3, which is an amazing game.
That one.
Yeah.
I tried to get into Witcher, and it for whatever reason it didn't stick. I didn't get into it. Didn't have the time. Whatever it was.
It's the time.
I can't make those excuses now because that game is just so world renowned.
Well, it's just it, right? You have to. The problem is you have to set a. You need to pick your one game, Scott. So there's certain games that have so many hours. If you can pick one to focus on, and then just kind of veer off and do a couple little side ones, maybe it won't be so bad. Like that's kind of what I'm kind of doing right now with Origins, on top of all of our release games that we're reviewing and things like that. But it's just kind of, dude, finding the balance of a long game like this is really, really tough. I jumped into The Witcher 3 back in the day. I dropped like 25 hours and then I had to bounce. And I didn't want to, but I was like, man, I got other things I got to take care of. So it's
but you probably still didn't even see the title screen. Well, 25 hours in, and it was still giving you tutorial hints.
Absolutely was. Well, but dude, let's get into the next topic because this one is kind of a little disappointing to see. Joseph Fares, It Takes Two. It was hit by Take-Two claim. Hazelight abandons trademark but remains hopeful of resolution. This comes from Tom Phillips over at Eurogamer. It Takes Two, the latest game from Brothers A Two Sons, Joseph Fares, has been hit by a trademark claim from the Grand Theft Auto parent company Take-Two. The acclaimed co-op puzzler about a pair of divorcing parents was struck by a trademark claim shortly after being released earlier this year. It has emerged. Records show developer Hazelight has subsequently forced to abandon ownership of the name. In a statement to Eurogamer, Hazelight spokesperson said the studio cannot comment on ongoing disputes, but the team was hopeful it will be resolved. Still, Hazelight did not dispute it had been forced to abandon the trademark to his game because of Take-Two, something which can be seen in the notice of abandonment sent to the U.S. Patent Office shortly after Take-Two's claim was filed. Scott, this sucks. Honestly, It Takes Two and Take-Two. I get how close it is, man, but come on, really?
Yeah, it's something like if you know anything about the company or the game, you know that that's not the same property. It's obvious to me, but I suppose it's just because it's obvious to me, that's not really an indicator of whether it's allowed or not. So that I'm sure there's some technicality that crosses. They have a legitimate claim to pursue.
They do.
The developers of Take-Two, but it just kind of seems like a fighting among the weeds, doesn't it? Like,
absolutely. It's this, not that Hazelight they're a small studio. Like, really, just cut those guys a break, cut them some slack. They made a fantastic game. And what is it? It has I shouldn't say it has no effect, but it has very little effect on Take-Two's financial earnings at all.
Yeah.
Like, come on, really? Are you, because they have It Takes Two is suddenly taking away financial earnings? Maybe it is. I can't see it, but man,
I can't imagine it's very significant.
I saw that article and I was like, this is awful. That sucks. It really sucks. And it's just the world of trademarks and copyrights and things like that are so finicky. You got to be really, really careful. Apparently, It Takes Two is the latest victim in a volley of trademark and copyright claims from publisher Take-Two, and just one of dozens of claims issued this year against a wide array of businesses and products. U.S. Patent Office records show Take-Two is behind filings to contest numerous names with connections to words like Rockstar, Social Club, Mafia, Civilization, and more.
I just thought of something that could happen. Oh no. In recent news, the Greater Toronto Area rebrands.
Yeah, that's right. Take-Two is filing against them as well. That's just Yeah, I just, man, that's really too bad because, as I said, if you have a chance, you should play Take-Two. It Takes Two. Now I got to say it. I'm all messed up. But it was such a great game, and it's such a nice surprise. It's a co-op experience that no one's played like that ever since, or even had in so many years. This co-op experience, this couch co-op, and it even came with like a friend pass. So
Yeah.
it was like, oh, really? Is it really affecting you guys over at Take-Two? I don't know, but well, we'll see what happens. But dude, do you remember back in the day? Destiny launches and it comes with this big loot grind and a cave.
Oh yeah, I do.
Well, let's get down memory lane.
Caves were a great topic. If Nate is watching this at any point, he's gonna go. Oh.
He's gonna burst into the Discord. Destiny 2's new dungeon is inspired by the infamous loot cave. This comes from Ethan over at Kotaku. The Steam
they're just
list,
gonna lean into it.
Oh, they're going all in, yeah, which is fantastic. I you know what? I really appreciate when developers understand their mistakes. Like we just recently talked about the Xbox Museum, and in that museum, you walk down memory lane for the Xbox and Microsoft, and you see the red ring of death. Dude, they didn't hide it. It is right there. And I'm like, that was perfect because you guys need to own that because it was a big mistake back in the day. But still, things happen. But yeah, so this is cool to see. The Steam listing for Destiny 2's upcoming Bungie 30th anniversary pack celebrating the studio's history recently revealed the game's big new dungeon will be a throwback to the most famous moment in Destiny history, the Loot Cave. Set to go live on December 7th for players who purchase the $25 mid-season update. The latest mini raids now. Is that what we're getting? Huh. All right.
I gotta love these games as a service model, you know?
That's just it. The Plunder, the new 3-player dungeon inspired by famed Cosmodome loot caves of yore. Reads Bungie's description on the Steam page. Reveal a tale of riches and regrets as you follow an adventurer who trade his humanity for treasure. Dude, there's Bungie still plugging away. I know Nate's been up and down with Bungie because all of a sudden he's talking about all this DLC that he purchased in the past that he doesn't have access to, and then weapons that don't matter anymore. Like there's a lot going on over at Bungie, and to me it almost feels and sounds like they should just move on to Destiny 3.
That's that's something I said after Destiny 1 kind of got stale. I thought, well, is this really going to last a decade? I think it's time for them to readdress that.
Sure.
And they did. They came up with 2, but I feel like they're going through the same kind of trouble where I think I agree with you. It would be time for a Destiny 3, and I don't think anybody would be very hurt by that. Unless you spent 100 days of your life grinding Destiny 2 now. But at that point, I mean, the guns are already becoming irrelevant. There's already content missing. You know, it's time to jump ship.
Well, that's just it, right? They're readjusting so much of it. Nate says he's dropped like $200 on the game, and half of that money is like not even playable anymore. So that's kind of like, whoa, I spent this money, but now why is it gone? Back in the day, dude, when you bought a game,
it was full. It was complete.
That was the game.
It wasn't going to get an update for 20 years when it started being put on backward compatibility logs.
That's right, yeah. Dude, let's get into the world of Oculus Quest 2, because this one was cool. You and I are big fans of the city building genre, and Cities VR was announced exclusively for the Oculus Quest 2. This comes from Alex Gibson over at Twinfinite. Fast Travel Games has announced a VR version of Paradox Interactive City Skylines. Aptly titled Cities VR, the port is exclusively for Oculus Quest 2. City Skylines is an ultimate modern city builder, and it's an honor to bring the franchise to VR, said Eric, creative director over at Fast Travel Games. The city building genre has a huge potential in the VR market, and we couldn't wait to work on this IP. We spent a ton of time, research, and energy to translate City Skylines to VR in a way that is both approachable for new players and a new challenge for city veterans. We can't wait to see what players build. Dude, I am excited. I gotta be honest.
No, that is really cool. I think us specifically have the appreciation for the city builder on the team, and City Skylines has to be the best one. I think I've seen enough of them to say that. Yeah. It's certainly my favorite. So to get into that in a VR perspective sounds awesome.
Absolutely.
I'm a little disappointed though because I have a Rift.
Yeah, and it looks to me like, okay, because how you play this, but it looks of it, I just saw a brief glimpse of the trailer. You're seeing it right now as well. Is dude, you don't have to like physically move anywhere too far, and you might just have to teleport to spots. So the motion sickness will be very, very limited here, which is perfect. And I could build skyscrapers and the whole whatever I want to do. And this is right up my alley, man. Like right now, so there's a preview that we're working on for Townscape, and it's VR, and it looks pretty cool. But it's a lot more condensed compared to where we are with this. This looks really cool, and I'm very excited to see what happens here in the near future. But what's happening over in the world of Nintendo, Scott, is they're getting PS4 exclusives.
Wait, what? This is not the ceasefire I expected.
Yeah, gotcha. This comes from Tyler Fisher over at Comic Book. Nintendo Switch Lite, and the Nintendo Switch OLED is getting 2 PS4 exclusive games. The first is a proper PS4 exclusive, while the other is technically a PS4 console exclusive. The former is 13 Sentinels, one of 2020's best games, and a game that was up for Best Story at the Game Awards of 2020. Developer Vanillaware is set to come to the Nintendo Switch family of consoles on April 12th, 2022. Not bad, I guess, right? And then the last one was Last Recode from Bandai Namco and CyberConnect 2. Debuting back in 2017 via the PS4 and PC, it's set to come to Nintendo Switch consoles on March 10th, 2022. Scott, not something we see happen very often.
No, definitely not. And there was a lot of rumor about Game Pass integrating with Nintendo. That was back a year ago, I think, maybe 2 years ago.
It's been a while,
that
man.
seems to have not happened. But
no,
this is almost along those lines similarly, but I would not have expected that to happen. I'm not familiar with 13 Sentinels. Did you get a chance on that one?
No, it's another JRPG. It's
okay.
I see why they're moving to Nintendo. I think it makes total sense. These two games moving to that platform. Hopefully, you can breathe a little bit more life into those games now that everybody's playing them on PS4 and stuff. So maybe it's another kick out, and shout out to the companies and the games on those and fans of the JRPG. So shout out to Northern Nerdcast, and maybe he'll pick them up there because that's just not my style.
No, well, that's fair.
Yeah, right. Do we get into this last? Well, I want to get into the very last topic here, Scott. Let me get that going for us because The Matrix Awakens, an Unreal Engine 5 experience, has leaked for PS5. It's unclear if it's a game or some other kind of media tie-in. This comes from Tom Ivanov at VGC. A product called The Matrix Awakens has reportedly leaked ahead of official reveal. A promotional image for the product, which is billed as an Unreal Engine 5 experience, was published on the PlayStation Network backend with no further details other than it exists for PS5. This came from via Reddit user. Dude, I'm kind of excited. Looking forward to the new Matrix movie. I want to see what this is. Are we getting the game, or is it just like this movie adaptation experience, or just like a tech demo, right? There's a lot of questions.
Maybe it's a playable kind of movie experience that is also a tech demo. Like, it gets kind of strange there, but I'm not sure if it's just an experimental kind of one-off.
I think that's
I never played any of the Matrix games before, but I've heard that there's one that's solid, but
the others are not so good. I played them way back on PC in the day. Whew, man, it was
I'm thinking like the year 2000.
Yeah. Scott, let's wrap up today, buddy. What games do we have coming out for today?
We have Chorus on this PC Stadia system, Xbox One, XS, and the PlayStation 5.
Always happy to see Stadia there, eh?
Yeah, I am. Curious to see there's no PlayStation 4 there. But
I think it's already there.
That would make a lot of sense.
Yeah.
We also have an interesting word to read here. Yeah. A little easier to say. We have Danganronpa Decadence, and that's on the Switch. And we also have Danganronpa S. That's on, Ultimate Summer Camp. That's also on the Switch today.
There we go. Dude, that's going to wrap up today's show. Everybody, thank you for hanging out with us. This has been the ITG Daily, the show that brings you the hottest in gaming news. It's Friday, which means it's the weekend. So everybody have a great weekend. I'm Drew. That's Scott. We'll see you next week inside the game.